done. This. There we go. Done. Oh yeah, I should update that. Da, da, da. Hello, Pablo. Yeah, it has been a while. Another sudden. I'm just grabbing reference. Hey, Alex. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to draw. Because I did work on stuff for Valentine's Day, but the second pick that I wanted to make for an art set isn't ready yet. So I'm kind of holding off on it. Becky is drinking again, yeah. So I figure I just work on something else. Like, I'm still gonna put it out even if it's not on Valentine's Day, so it's fine on that end. So, figure tonight I probably work on like character art or something. I was thinking of doing Revga's art, but I also have other characters I could work on. I've been up since about 3 a.m. I have been up since, or I was up since yesterday, and then I finally got some sleep at like 7 p.m. So I managed to get about 2 hours of sleep, and now I'm here. Yes, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And originally, I was going to get more sleep, but a friend wanted me to come out for Valentine's Day, so I said okay. And yeah, okay, I know. Okay, we're gonna draw this character. So here's an adopt that I have. We're gonna do her artwork. Should probably focus on this part of her. I'll get that detail in a bit. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing alright. But yeah, the stuff that I had planned for V-Day, I'll still put it up when it's ready. But I gotta finish up the second pick. Very boring day. And I will tell you that one of the picks does involve Marcy and Skylar. So when it's ready, when the set's ready, if those two are in it. That's future me's problem. I think that's angled a little bit too narrow. But yeah, like the Marcy and Skylar pick is ready, but the other two, who are supposed to be Blake and Eddie, their pick isn't ready yet. So yeah, it was gonna be like a married couple Valentine's Day thing. Another day, another adopt. I need to, like, if I let me say this, because if I were to work on adopt artwork for the rest of the year, or like for like once a day, let me see how many that would be. Minus, so all these artwork minus duplicates, which not all of them have, so that's going to be the challenge. I'm just quickly scrolling through these to ignore any dupes that are here. And then it'll be minus however many picks that I already drew artwork of. So hold on, I'm just quickly going through all these, so hopefully I don't miss them on the first pass. Minus one of you. Minus. I'm just trying to blitz through all this adopt art. But yeah, I'm gonna make that a plan to get through all the adopts that I have, so that way they're squared away. Cool. New Twitch audio ads just play over me. Really? That's a thing? I didn't even know that was a thing. Sorry, I'm just... 3 ads over... Oh, Jesus. Keep in mind his closet is full past hard drive. I mean, I still have characters I haven't even scanned that need updates. Jesus Christ, how much? Okay, I'm like a little over halfway through the adopts now. So, almost done. Huh. I should probably check up on that later. Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking. Fuck. Okay, never mind. God damn it. I accidentally clicked off. Okay, so let's just assume about maybe a tenth of these artworks are not, or are duplicates. Maybe less than that, like maybe 2%. So let me get a calculator for this, because I accidentally clicked off of this. So I'm gonna take, this is gonna be a wild estimation, just so we can try to figure out the number for this. So if I were to take away about 9 drawings or so, I know it's way more than that. Okay, I'm gonna bump it up to like 5%, because I know it's way more drawings than just that. Okay, so let's just say roughly 21 pics out of this are like extra artwork of the same character type of thing. So roughly there are 390 adopts that I have. If I'm estimating. And then if I minus however many of them that I already drew artwork for, which, okay, this I can easily count. So let me just grab how many I did actual artwork of. Okay, so of that number, let me go back. Minus this much. So there are about roughly 378 that need artwork. Buy 10 more. No, I don't need any more. I have my own characters still. But yeah, speaking of getting stuff though, or looking at ads or whatever, I saw an ad for Kamen Rider Geats DVD box set for the West, and it's like they're doing like a pre-order thing because it comes out in April, and I was like, oh shit, because we never get any of that. So so speaking of which, I need to go pre-order that right the fuck now. So let me just do that, and then we can continue. $400 is such a good number. Well, let me like off stream, I will count how many I actually have, so that way I can be more accurate with that number, and then we'll see. If I ever do that, we'll see. Okay, so let me just pause this. Come on. Come on. But yeah, I technically don't need any more adopts. Pause, damn it. Thank you. So yeah, Kamen Rider Geats pre-order, because it's being produced by Shout Factory. I mean, it's possible. It just depends on who the fuck makes it and who puts in the effort, because every time Kamen Rider has like a chance of being seen by the Western audience, it's like a small drop, because like they came out with Shin Kamen Rider recently, and Kamen Rider Black Sun. Those two were subtitled only, which was fine, but a lot of people got into it that don't normally watch Kamen Rider, and I'm like, okay, cool. Are you guys gonna release the others? And like they are, but it's like such a slow drip feed, and like the seasons are so random. and like even like the movies are sometimes random, so it's really, really, really freaking hard to get anything in a more consistent way. Fucking, I'm getting okay, yeah, I'm getting this box set. I need to search for the other. I need to search for other Kamen Rider sets. You know what? I'll just do this later. At least I know where it is. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, like it's a like Kamen Rider has a decent chance because like there have been other Rider like series that have been made in the West that were pretty decent. Like, of course, you have Power Rangers, but then you also have Guyver, specifically the second Guyver movie, which was actually really good, and it just never went anywhere else. Which, coincidentally, the main actor for Guyver was David Hayter, the same actor that played Solid Snake. But yeah, I think Kamen Rider has a chance. It just depends on who's in charge. Because doing shit the way they did with Masked Rider is definitely not the way to go. Yeah, exactly. Like, Kamen Rider is really good. Like, honestly, I'll be perfectly honest. If all they did with Kamen Rider is just release it with subtitles, it'd be a lot better. Like, it'd be better off. I don't like I don't need a Western adaptation of it, of like Western actors and stuff like that. Fuck it. Just give me subtitles. And if they did the at most, if they did the subtitles the way TV Nihon did where like, you know, whenever they say henshin or whenever like special attacks or special names or whatever for like the powers and stuff like that are animated just slightly, like it doesn't have to be over the top or anything like that, because I know some foreign subtitle people, they usually go overboard with the special effects, but just make the effects subtle the way TV Nihon did, and you're fine. And that's just like the most of it. At minimum, we just want subtitles. At most, subtitles with a little bit of effects. But I would prefer subtitles over them trying to make an adaptation, because like they did that with Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, which it was fine because it was basically its own story, the same way they've done it with Power Rangers, where, you know, they take the footage of the Japanese version and then they just, you know, splice it with whatever they're doing. That's fine, I guess. I technically don't have a problem with it, but at the same time, I'm not getting, you know, the original story. So if I'm talking about just, you know, introducing audience to the actual story of each season, I would rather just have subtitles. It's like, fuck it. If they're not gonna do it, you know, scene by scene, then I might as well just have the Japanese subtitles. And now, you know what, let's just change her mouth because I want to keep her closer to her original. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would be into Kamen Rider if they just properly put them out. Like, even if they just started off with Heisei era, just to help things out, because like I understand that certain seasons are a little bit more drama based than later ones, because like the ones that we currently have, like I'll say, I want to say past Kabuto, or Kabuto and onward, is where the series was a lot more actiony rather than drama. So like Kabuto onward, like if they want to focus on that, where you can kind of get the viewer in a little bit more quickly, sure, fine, whatever. But I do hope they like put out the other writers in chronological order, because even though technically every season you can like start you can technically start anywhere, there are some seasons that connect to each other to a degree, even if it's subtle. And then certain seasons you definitely just have to avoid, like Kamen Rider Go, because that one specifically acts like a sequel to the other seasons. And then Decade is fine, because Decade is like alternate versions of the writers, where you can just introduce people to the writers without spoiling their seasons. Would I be okay with rewriting if it was making Ghost cool again? Okay, Ghost is... God damn it, Ghost. Ghost had so much fucking potential. I would be fine with rewriting Ghost and Saber. Saber a little bit less so, but definitely Ghost. Because when Ghost was introduced, he was a lot more creepy and spooky. And because it was like during the time where, well, I mean, they still do this every once in a while, where they'll introduce a character without knowing specifically how that character's storyline is gonna go in writing and stuff like that. And so whoever does the introduction, or like the debut version of the writer, they kind of just take it upon themselves into showing him off as whatever. So when Ghost was first shown, he was creepy and spooky. Like, he was like floating around, disappearing, reappearing, doing the whole hand over the shoulder, Japanese horror thing. And it was great. And then when you get the actual season, he does none of that. And then even when Kamen Rider Go season was out and Kamen Rider Decade transforms into Ghost, he was doing the whole spooky ghost movements. So if they had to do, if there was a rewrite version of Ghost, and it was to make him more spooky while still keeping in line with he's supposed to be a hero type of thing, that's fine. I don't have any problems against it, especially since his season, like, I'll be honest, Ghost season was one of the reasons why I stopped watching Kamen Rider for like a long ass time. I want to say I stopped watching it for like a year, because I didn't get back into Kamen Rider until X-Aid was out, and that was when Kamen Rider Gem got its zombie form. No, actually, it might have been after X-Aid was over. It might have been when X-Aid was over, because I had randomly watched the crossover where X-Aid goes into like the game world with like a bunch of dead writers, and he fights Kamen Rider Gem Zombie with like a upgrade. So yeah, it might have been about 2 years, now that I think about it. Yeah, like if you look up Kamen Rider Ghost during the... I think I can find it. Let me find it. If you look up Ghost during the Drive special, you can see Ghost a lot more spooky. Let me find it. Ghost cameo. Yeah, here it is. Let me just pause this. Pause, and I'll just copy and paste the link just to show you. So yeah, if you watch that, you'll see what I mean about ghosts being spooky. But yeah, Ghost was like the reason I stopped watching Kamen Rider for a while, because he just wasn't interesting as a character. And like my biggest problem with him was because like the person who wrote Kamen Rider Ghost also wrote Kamen Rider Saber, and they both share this problem where they both set a goal for the main character to accomplish, but they accomplish that goal mid-season, and then they basically reset the goal to do it all over again, and then they start introducing villains that look like they're going to be interesting, like they have like a decent setup, but then there's no payoff. So like in Saber's case, there's one particular villain who makes it look like he's possessed. Like he's like glowing red eyes, he's like drooling like this slime and stuff like that. You see him just acting very abnormal because he's supposed to be like in charge of like, oh, all the knights are, he's like the leader of the knights and stuff like that. He's supposed to be, you know, the guy who, you know, is the reason why all the heroes are there type of thing. Like they're setting it up to make it look like he's possessed, and it looks that way. Like they straight up do everything possible to make it look like that, and then nothing. There's nothing. Nothing comes off of that. There's no payoff to that whatsoever. They never address any of the setup that they did. They never address the glowing eyes, his weird behavior. They don't address the weird drooling thing. Nothing. All of that for nothing. 500 bits is high. I don't even know what the bits were even fucking for, dude. Let me see. Highlight my message. What do you need? What do you need a highlight for? Just talk to me. Oh wait, am I looking at stream points? That's probably what I'm looking for. I don't even know what any of this is for. Don't worry about it. But yeah, like that was what pissed me off about Ghost, was that you have all this setup and it doesn't go anywhere. And I don't really like what I'm doing with this picture, so I'm going to scrap this and we're going to start over. It just did not look good. Stream chat, exactly. I only have 40. But yeah, in Ghost, Ghost, like the main character of Ghost just wasn't interesting. It was like all he kept doing was just like more priest-like stuff. It seemed like Ghost was supposed to be like a different character than what the concept of the character was supposed to be, and that's why it was such a bummer when that season came out. And like I'm kind of getting the same problem with Kamen Rider Gotchard, like the current season that's out, because if you watch his debut scene in the Kamen Rider Geats movie, or one of the movies, they show Gotchard as just a regular alchemist. Yeah, Saber needs fixing too. But you see Gotchard as like an alchemist when they first debut him, and like he's just, you know, touching objects to like manipulate them because he's an alchemist. He doesn't do any of that fucking shit in the season. And he is like suffering from the same problem of introducing the writer with not the same abilities that they have, or like close to whatever concept they're supposed to be themed after. Yeah, and it's weird because that doesn't usually happen. Because like I think the first writer who was introduced as a cameo in before their season was even out was well, technically it was Decade, but they did it with Kamen Rider Double, and he was perfectly fine. They showed what his powers did. He had the whole dual voice thing, and that was it. Like he didn't overstep his abilities or do something that he never ends up doing in the season. He was fine. Same thing worked for O's. Same thing worked for Forze. I don't think Drive had one. Gaim was fine because I remember the special he came in, so Gaim was fine. And then you get to go. Well, Drive. Yeah, Drive was before Ghost. But when you get to Ghost completely acts differently than he does in his own season, and that didn't happen again until Saber. And granted, Saber didn't have like a debut thing. At least I don't remember him having one. Or if he did, I just don't remember right now. But in Saber's show, the show itself is the problem, because it follows the same issues that Ghost had, because they're both written by the same person. So kind of funny how both seasons written by the same guy share the same problem. So but I'm just gonna snooze this. But yeah, and then another problem that Gotchard has is, I believe this is like in between episodes, I think it's like 16 and 17 or 18, or no, I think it's like 18 or so, or it's around this 16 to 18 mark. But here's another problem that Gotchard has. So there's a character named Kamen Rider Majade. She gets introduced in a movie, and that movie is canon, and that movie is 100% essential to watch the show. They release, well, this is a problem more for me, like on the Western side, because I can't physically go see that movie. But you have to see that movie to know what the hell happens in the story. Because if you don't, they're going to be making so many references to that movie that you're going to feel like you missed like 2 to 3 episodes. And they never do that with Kamen Rider. Like, they'll make movies and reference the movies, like, in a form of like, oh yeah, we've seen this power before type of thing. And that's it. Like, they never expand on it. Outside of like, oh, did the main character get like an upgrade or something? That's it. In Gotchard's case, that movie is at least like 2 or 3 episodes worth of information, and you will act like you missed something critical, because the character that turns into Majade, she has like this whole giant character development in that movie, and it reflects in the show. So without seeing that movie, you have no fucking clue what the hell transpired for that character to change so much. And you also got to think of it this way: if you got into Kamen Rider and you're trying to, just watch the series as they are, and let's just say hypothetically you don't have access to that movie, assuming whatever means you're watching Kamen Rider through didn't have it for whatever reason. If you were to watch Gotchard and get to that point, you have no idea what the hell happened. Because they'll just constantly say, hey, I don't have that power yet, and then she'll get that power again, and you're like, what the fuck happened? And it's weird because they've never done that with Kamen Rider. Or at least not to the degree that Gotchard has done it. Where you are required to go to outside, or to sources outside the season itself to understand the story. Yeah, exactly. And that's what fans on the Western side, because we're just watching this with subtitles and stuff like that. That happened like a couple weeks ago, because it's like oh, it's like, why, how come this character is acting so different, and then you find out, oh, all of this information just dropped in a movie mid-season. Not even mid-season, because this is still like early season, so like first quarter of the season, and we get this much character development that only happens in a movie. And like the character shows up, like the character's writer form does show up in the show, but you don't have any of the backstory of why that happened. You just know that she has the ability to turn into a writer, and you don't know the context. Luckily, another writer they introduced recently, his debut finally happened in the show itself, so we don't have that problem again. But still, it's like, how are you gonna watch a show and then suddenly it feels like you missed 2-3 episodes, and there's nothing you can do about it because you don't have access to the movie. And again, they don't usually do this in Kamen Rider. Like, they don't force you to go see a movie to get all the information that you need to watch the actual show. At most, they just introduce like a character that might be referenced, or an ability that might be referenced, and that's it. Like, it's not essential to watch the actual show. I think, like, from memory, I'll say the closest character to that is Kamen Rider Jam, where Jam is technically canon and not canon at the same time, because most of the writing for Kamen Rider Gaim was done by a specific writer, and the very last episode is not written by the same person, but they introduce a character who technically existed in a movie first, but that movie was pretty much it was like semi-retconned because they treated it as a dream. But when the character shows up, they make a reference to that movie, and they just say, "Oh, you've forgotten me," type of thing. And then that's kind of it. Like, they don't expand on that too much, or at all. It's just like, "Oh, I'm a character from a dream world that you forgot." That's it. It's not essential to the story whatsoever. It doesn't even, like, unlock abilities for the main character or anything like that. It technically has nothing to do with the main character, because the focus is on a whole other character at this point in time. So it's just kind of there. So it's not essential to anything. Whereas with Gotchard, no, you definitely have to see the movie, or else you're missing a lot of character development. So yeah. Sorry for my ramble, but yeah. But it's stuff like this is what makes Kamen Rider really fucking difficult to make popular in the West, because if you don't do it properly, you're gonna miss out on a lot of information. Like, one of the times they did, Toei, one of the times they were like putting out Kamen Rider for the West, it was just subtitles, but one of the first things they show is the crossover movie between Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. And I'm like, this is awesome, but at the same time, what the fuck are you doing? Because that crossover has so many fucking characters, an extreme chunk that nobody knows who the hell they are. And on one end, it's awesome because, hey, here's Kamen Rider for the West, and we don't have to, like, go out of our way to find it. and it's subtitled, cool. But on the other end, you're introducing people to stuff that they have no idea about. Like, this is a weird way to introduce people into Kamen Rider. Like, if anything, Decade should be like a decent beginner's writer, because it shows off characters without spoiling things and all that. But another issue with that, well, one of the problems that came up from them streaming Kamen Rider for the first time was people were referencing TV Nihon, because TV Nihon did really good subtitles, and people kept saying, "Hey guys, you need to hire TV Nihon because they do really good subtitles." The problem with that was that it got TV Nihon in trouble. And so they ended up getting like a cease and desist. So they had to stop subtitling Kamen Rider. So other groups have decided to still subtitle it, and for a while, TV Nihon was doing like a side way of streaming it, or of subtitling it, but then I think they like just stopped or whatever. But yeah, like that became an issue. So it's cool that they're officially coming out with subtitles for the series. So that's a good thing. But stuff like that was an issue. I mean, it still is. But yeah. But a big problem now is that they'll post like 1 or 2 episodes of a Kamen Rider season on YouTube, but they won't like continue it on. They'll just show like, oh, here's the first episode of Kamen Rider Kuga, and then they'll like skip around to like, oh, here's the first episode to Kamen Rider Double. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you just show them on your actual YouTube site? And I understand there's like other issues, like, you know, music and I don't know, whatever royalties they have to figure out. So I understand that, but doing it the way they're doing it is not helping. Okay, let me focus up a little bit more on this so I can keep going. But yeah, it's just, it feels like the way they're doing things is pretty backwards. When all they really need to do is just release each Rider season on DVD or Blu-ray or digital, whatever method that they feels is necessary. Her hair is a lot more up than this. Like, whatever method is necessary to make it happen, and just be consistent with it. Yeah, because it seems like people are interested in it from what I've noticed. Like, people who barely know the characters or only heard of Kamen Rider and have decided to check it out. It seems like they're all interested in it, but they just need a proper way of actually watching it. And the only 2 that I've seen so far are Black Sun and Shin Kamen Rider. Not to be confused with Kamen Rider Shin. I have no idea why they fucking named it that way. But yeah. Let me fix her hair. And then there's also Kamen Rider Amazons that they can watch. That's on well, it's on Japanese. No, it's on the Western side now. It's subtitled. So yeah, they can watch that too. But it's like such a like. Luckily, most Kamen Rider seasons you can watch without having to watch them in order. But it's just a way that they were putting out Kamen Rider that didn't make sense. Because all they were doing was just like putting out the first few episodes, and then that was it. and they do have I think it's either Shout Factory or no, it's Tokushoutsu. They do have that to help things along because I think they have some seasons on their actual site that you can watch, but it's so like spread out. Let me save this just so. Let me just take a quick look. Tokushoutsu. Because, like, if I were to go on Tokushoutsu right now, and let's see, and go to their Kamen Rider section, so they have the original Kamen Rider, then they have Kamen Rider Kuga, then they have Yuki, and then they have 01. And then the rest are all like Ultraman and Super Sentai. So yeah, that's it. We only have 4 Kamen Riders right now. One skips like pretty much an entire era to get to the other one. And then the second era only has 2 riders. And then that era skips to the technically 4th era, which is 01. So we just have giant skips of seasons. Which again, it's fine if they're to skip because you don't have to watch them in a particular order for the most part. But that's a huge drop of seasons to try to figure out what the hell you're at, especially if other seasons are referencing the characters, because like 01 does reference other writers to a degree. Or they have movies that introduce past writers. I guess, but it's been a while since those have been out. Like, I'm surprised that there's not more than that at this point, because those have been on the site since they got the ability to post Kamen Rider. So they haven't like done more since. But now they're coming out with Geats as a box set, so hopefully that helps. And I will definitely get that box set because I want to. Because another problem is that fans have wanted to support the series, but there's been like the lack of ability to even do so. Because they've been taking their time trying to get it into the West, and it's like, it's not hard, you guys just kept fucking it up. Especially when they did Masked Rider, because Masked Rider was just super goofy. And did not represent Kamen Rider Black RX at all. So yeah, like in terms of like just Western adaptation, no, I would just give me the subtitles. I am perfectly fine watching a series subtitled. I've been doing it since watching anime in subtitles. I am perfectly fine watching live action shit in subtitle. That has never been an issue. And I know some people don't like it for whatever reason. That's perfectly fine. They're entitled to have their opinion. But that doesn't mean you gotta ruin it for everybody else. Favorite chocolates are the ones with liquor filling. I mean, if they can give her a good buzz, sure, she'll love it. skipping around too much. I need to do this properly. But yeah, like, Kamen Rider does have the potential of being popular in the West. It's just a lot of mishandling for some reason. And I don't know why. And again, on one end I understand because licensing with certain songs and stuff like that can be a pain in the ass. I don't know why music is always like the biggest problem for a lot of media. It's like if you made the music for the show, or it was licensed to be used with the show, then anything that has to do with the show should already include the music. It's like, it makes no fucking sense. But the music industry is such a pain in the ass. It's like, whatever deal was made that involves the show, that should be fine. And I would say movies count as being part of the show. Same thing for like side specials and stuff like that. It should all be under the same umbrella because it represents the show. Because that was like the problem that Evangelion had, where the Amazon, I think it was the Netflix version of Evangelion had to be basically redubbed and re-musiced or whatever, or at least some music had to be taken out because they didn't have the licensing to use the original music, which is dumb. Okay, I'm like, how the fuck do I do her hair? I'm like looking at both pics of her just so I can try to get this right. I'll give her the straight hairs. Okay. But yeah, like, music has always been a pain in the ass to do any type of medium. Yeah, like, copyright is so good because, obviously you don't want people stealing your work and shit like that, but when it comes to certain transformative mediums and stuff like that, or media and stuff like that, and when it comes to like bringing content over from one location to another, it's like, it should, at least in music's case, it should be like, okay, all this content, or all the stuff that represents the show or series or whatever you're making, everything that went into making it should be already spoken for. It's like, oh, if I have Elvis's song as the main theme for Kamen Rider and everything squared away, okay, we paid for the song, we established that it's part of the series, this is what represents the series, then I shouldn't have this problem bringing it over to another location to bring more audience to the series. It should all be included in the same thing. Not, oh, we're in this location now, so you gotta renegotiate all of your shit. That doesn't make sense. And granted, this could probably already be the case. It's just people are dumb and don't know how to fucking do their contracts right. So this could already be a problem that is solved. It's just people being dumb. Hello, hope you're having a good Valentine's Day as well. How old was Becky when she had her first alcoholic drink? That is my default answer would be 16, but I want to say she was a little bit younger than that. I want to say she was like, I want to say 13, but I guess that would depend on what events that would have happened during that time. But I want to say 13, and like just say she kept sneaking it from her mom's stash and all that, or like watering it down or something. You know, like a typical teenager stunt. And I want to say like her reasoning for getting into alcohol would be, you know, because all the teasing about her looks and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna draw her figure for a moment, just so I can establish what I need. So I'll just put this here for now. Yeah, like Becky starts off really young when she becomes an alcoholic. If I had to argue, I would probably say she probably got caught a few times in school with it. So let me get her legs situated, since we're not going to see most of it anyway. Because a lot of this I'm just going to end up erasing. Her mom would just have strong shit. So I would say whiskey. Yes, I am drawing all this knowing that I'm going to erase it. But that's okay. Let's fix this leg though. Yeah, because with some of Becky's backstory, she just, I mean, you have to remember she's very young, dealing with all the teasing and stuff like that, which again, from her perspective, doesn't make any sense, because there are still like a bunch of creatures who have like different animal parts based on, you know, if they're mixed breeds and stuff like that too. So she doesn't understand why she's getting teased about all this, just because she has more body mixed parts than the average person. And so with all the teasing, and then, you know, she as she's getting older, she's developing more in unique ways. So she just can't handle it when she's that young, and so she just gets into her mom's stash and just starts drinking. Because it ends up making her feel better, or at least more detached from the situation. Let's bend the knees a bit more. So yeah, she usually does it to just detach herself from scenarios. And then as she got older, she learned to like do it naturally, but she didn't quit drinking. It would take a lot for her to quit drinking. Or at least manage it better. Like, she still manages it decently, with an asterisk, because she is willing to like show up to work drunk or whatever, which is which has been the case, which is why she's jumped from multiple jobs before. But currently, the one she has at Cold Gossip is fine because her manager is her boss is her boyfriend now. No problem. All right, so. But yeah, after the stream, I'll go and work on the last pick for the Valentine's Day thing, and I'll just post it. I'll post up the art set for tomorrow, and then I'll also get things ready for character polls for Patreon, so we can get that out of the way. Same thing for Ask the Cast. And then I can continue working on stuff. There we go. It should be okay. Maybe bring this one down just a little bit. But yeah, this has been a bit of a hectic month. But I'll try to course correct so I can get some more stuff done. Still kind of want to change how did her muzzle. Her muzzle's the only thing that's pissing me off. Because I like the way the first pick's muzzle looks, but the second one shows more detail. So let me see how it looks if I do this. Not awful, but not perfect either. It's like I feel like I'm doing the curve just a little bit too big. should be fine. Now I just need to fix the top part of her head because it's in a certain shape. And then there's an art style that I'm practicing with that I want to try out pretty soon. So there's a lot that I'm planning on doing. Just gotta get there. Not using it here right now because I kind of just defaulted to my usual style. Plus it needs more work anyway. She looks like she has 3 fingers. Oh yeah. Well, I'll do those details when I make her dress. Ooh. Slim it down a little bit since she's going to be wearing this. Yeah, the stream will only go till like 11 o'clock my time, so like another 50 or so minutes. So short stream today. Next week I'll try to get back into regular streaming times. So probably next Wednesday. And if I can, Friday. Or next Friday. Not this week's, but next week's. Okay. Get a better look at that dress. Let's bring the dress out just a little bit to make it look like she has a bit of an ass. Kinda wanna give her a mom bod. Rolls my fat deer ass in. Oh, that's fine because it was curved anyway. I mostly just have it there to be placement stuff. None of this you're gonna see. She's in the moms that fatten up others category. So if I ever do her storyline, it's gonna be about her daughter coming to visit, and she can't help herself but, you know, cook and spoil her. So she's technically not the main character, but she's definitely the main theme character type of, or the main instigator of the theme. Currently, I only have about 3 mom characters that do that. Yeah, the other 2 mom characters I have are on the heavier side, while this one's not. She's like, I would say this character is more similar to like Vanilla Rabbit. So like she'll be more proper and stuff like that, but like once her daughter or even son, like whichever I decide to settle on, comes to visit her, she just kind of can't help herself but spoil them. And given her color scheme, can say like either cherry or strawberry pie is like her forte or something like that. Is there such thing as a strawberry pie? I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah, of course there is. But yeah, either of those could work, or even both. Why not? Vanilla feeder rabbit. Fat Lovers Anonymous. What's the idea behind that? Ooh, yeah. So she can make cherry pie and strawberry tarts. Ooh. Yeah, there we go. Strawberry tarts are really good. I haven't had those in ages. Or if she knows how to make fig Newtons, that'd be cool too. She just makes like a bunch of like fruit-based treats. And have like a fancy apron just for the fuck of it. Doesn't have to functionally make sense. Well, in her case, it's not even like she's trying to be a chubby chaser necessarily. She just can't help but spoil her child, even if it means her child becoming fucking massively fat. Because the idea I had was like her son or daughter. I think I'm leaning more towards daughter. I mean, most of the characters I have are women anyway. But the idea was that her kid basically managed to like shed some pounds. Like, oh yes, finally, I'm in the weight that I always wanted or whatever. And then she decides, or they decide like, oh, I'm gonna go visit mom or whatever. And then that's when that's when this character is all like, oh, let me make you your favorite. And so the character's like, oh no, I'm on a diet. He's like, well, you can just have one, right? And she's like, you know what, that's fine. I accomplished my goal. I should be able to treat myself. And then that's like last words type of thing before the incident happens. And then the character gets like massively stuffed. And let's just say like a week passes. Like they went to go visit this character for like a week. By the time they're like leaving the door, they're just massively huge. And like the mom is just like none the wiser about it. She just thinks like, oh, my child's nice and fed type of mentality. So it's not like it's technically intentional, but it's more like can't help themselves. And that's like the only time they kind of like lose their composure to an extent, is when it comes to taking care of their baby. Just a random idea. Yeah. That's definitely the intention of one of the other moms that I have planned, where her intention is to fatten up the other character, but it was like the idea is that she had planned on eating them. And this can go either way. Either she actually does eat them, or it could lean towards, motherly instincts kicking in, where she would rather baby them rather than eat them. Probably eat them will probably be the better choice, because I already have another mom character who's in the whole motherly love, babying the other character thing, even if the character is not her own child. So I think just to vary it up, can have one be into the whole devour their prey type of thing, but first fatten them up. That way there's some variety between the three moms. Because one of them is the chicken character that I showed not too long ago. The big, thick chicken mom. Mistaken for a noble, decides to enjoy a game. Oh yeah, I've seen comics like that story. That's kind of what happens to the Vor character I have, where she gets mistaken as like a god or like a vassal of Yorjadoth, and so they just treat her like royalty, and basically she indulges until she gets to the point where they're like, okay, we brought your sacrifices, and she's like, what? And so she has to eat people in order to keep up the facade. Is that a little bit more? Let's fancy up her hair a little bit more. It's a recent one. That's cool. I asked him to do the rest of her braids. That's cool. If I ever come across that comic, I'll have to check it out. I'm sure I could find it on like e-hentai after a while, because most people post things like that on that site. Three, four. It looks like it goes further down. I'll give her 4 and have like a tassel at the bottom. And then I'll do the same on the other side. Okay. Is Blake's adopted mom a wolf? Yes, she is. Yeah, Blake had a good foster mom. Too long? Yeah, I can shorten it. I just have to adjust things. So we have cat mom, wolf mom, dragon mom, duck mom, Nokum new wolf. I would say she's a fox. She seems more like a fox. I still need to draw up Tiffany's mom. Tiffany's mom is hella strung out though. Gotta catch on. Okay, mom. I know, I should eventually do like a mom set of all of the mom characters I have. Or at least like 5 of them. And it's okay to repeat animals because it's eventually gonna happen, because it's not like it's not like Becky's mom is the only duck mom or some shit like that. That's why I have to, like, with some of the character names, I have to like get used to naming some characters the same name. So, like, for example, if I have two characters, well, I already kind of do this, but like I have two characters named Marcy, but they have like different last names. But then like there's bound to be like a point where we have like characters with the same last names or something like that, but they're like not related. So eventually I'll have to do that, just so things are more realistic. One, two, three. Because it just makes sense. It's like, it's not like you can completely avoid that your entire life. Okay, I'll look at that after the stream, or I can probably take a glance. I'll have to come and grab that later. Is it on Discord or is it on Twitter that you posted it on? Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen this comic. I'm following it on, I'm following it myself. It's okay compared to the others. But we'll have to see where it goes. Yeah, I've been following that. So far, it's okay. I think the only reason why it's not wowing me at the moment is just because the premise is something that I've seen before already. So, just have to see what else makes it unique. But I don't think it's a bad comic or anything like that, because Inkspot does really good work in general. And I have their own folder on my drive, so I need to put that comic in there though, so that way I have it. Yeah, I like that pick. I thought it was funny. There's so many ways and ideas you can go about that. Reminds me of that one comic. I forget the artist's name. It'll probably come to me later. It was like this short stack lizard girl who was like shoving stuff in her ass by her I think it was her boyfriend. And they basically, I think it was taking place in like, was it medieval times? I think it was medieval times. But like, they were putting stuff in her butt, and her boyfriend comes says he brought some stuff called Vaseline, and they're like, oh, what's Vaseline? So they're using it to make things more slick and shit like that. So they just kept shoving stuff in her ass, and then at one point, he comes back with like a fucking watermelon. No, I don't even think it was a watermelon. I think it was like something bigger than that. And she's like, "You can't be serious." He's like, "Come on." And she's like, "All right." And so he's like, 1, 2, and then the comic ends with her just saying, "Holy hell!" And you don't see the end result to that. And I was like, "Damn it!" It's like on one end I wanted to see the end result, and on the other end my imagination was enough. But yeah, shit like that is funny. Yeah, that's like that's like one of the other reasons why the comic isn't like wowing me, because I've seen that before already with magical amulet that makes a character, you know, food crazy. And granted, I'm probably going to do something similar in the future anyway. It's just a matter of execution, I guess. Because like the premise is fine, but like if the idea itself just does the same thing all the others have done, then it's kind of like you're just in the mindset that you've seen it already. And like maybe like the main character isn't interesting enough to carry it. Pink Palooka. I don't think I've seen that one. Like, most of the time I'd have to see something to know if I've actually read it or not. Because I'm horrible with names. Unless it's like somebody that I actively follow. Like, I remember following Two Kinds forever, for the longest time before finding out that they were related to Markiplier. I was like, what the hell? Small world. Okay, let me take a look. Oh yeah, I've seen their stuff. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about. But yeah, it's just like like again, most ideas have been done, so it's really hard to like come out with something original and like be interesting. So it just depends on what you can do and how you go about it. But yeah, like none of Inkspot's comic is bad. It's just I've seen a lot at this point, so a lot of the time, for me at least, it comes down to the actual story and sometimes the character. Like, there's one comic that I've read that had to do with war, but it had to do with like several thieves, one being a dragon woman, and like the punishment was only one of them could leave, type of scenario. Or I forget like the main premise, but the idea was that only one of them could leave, but doing so would doom the others. And the idea was that they would force the one who leaves to eat the others, and then that'd be it. And so they picked the dragon girl because she's the biggest. And so the plan that the thieves had was for her to eat them, and then when the jailers let her go, she would just gag them back out, type of thing. But the jailers took their time feeding her friends to her, and so by the time they were done and she was able to, because she had to like do it before sundown or something like that, or before these candles went out, or else they would just kill her too. And so they're like moving at a decent pace, but like by the time she was done like eating her friends and they said okay you can leave, she was like too full to let them out. And so she ended up just digesting them, and I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. So shit like that is interesting to me, where you like have a decent premise but you have like an interesting twist to go along with it. But yeah, most of the time I don't think most comics are like bad or anything. It just depends on what their main hook is. Like the greedy gullet, I think that's what it's called, is good too, with the sheep girl putting on weight for her job. Now I'm just wondering where it's gonna pick up, because they pretty much did the main premise. So now the curious part is like if it's gonna um, make twist things up now. And then there's, what is it called? I had it in my mind for a second there because I said greedy gullet, and then what else was I thinking? This is gonna get to me. Nope, it's gone. Will probably come back later. But there's like other various comics that I've read. Oh, what log Mayu, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, that's what it seems like for Greedy Gullet. It seems like, it hit its peak at the moment, and it's going to be really hard for it to pick back up again. But Log Mayu is like another one where, personally, I feel it took way too long to get to the main theme of the comic. And I'm curious on where it's going to go, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be as interesting as it initially seemed. It kind of seemed like it's already peaking out. We can move this up a bit so she seems a little bit slimmer. Yeah, the Pixie Vilo comic. Like, I've kept up with it, but it's just not that interesting, honestly. Like, the beginning part was interesting with like the main character's like reasoning for why she was both into thicker women and wanted to be thick herself, but then it's like we're technically there, so what next type of scenario. You posted something in the, let me see. Oh yes, I saw that one earlier. That's a really good picture. And yes, happy Valentine's Day to you too. Way to overrun and overcomplicate a premise of a character. Yeah, because it takes like over 200 pages for the main character of that comic to get to the main idea. And then they kind of like overstuff it with like a lot of nonsense. Like, okay, like obviously if you want to make like an actual world, that's one thing. But I feel they should have done that in shorter stories to build the world, because doing it the way they're doing it now just seems like the weight gain thing is an afterthought rather than the main point. It's kind of like with Kip Tete's comic, where the weight gain stuff is definitely not necessarily an afterthought, but it's definitely not the spotlight, because their main thing is like lesbian stuff, which is fine, but like when people are there for another reason, that's what makes it difficult to maintain. Yeah, exactly. Because like if you're gonna make the waking thing like on the side, you gotta have your characters and world carry it harder. And like with Mayu, the world itself is not that interesting. and like the characters are currently not that interesting. Doesn't mean they can't become interesting in the future. They're just not interesting right now. Like I will say, the two characters that are the most interesting in that story is the athlete who got injured and ended up, putting on weight because she did was just lay in her room constantly watching her old track videos or watching sports stuff the entire time. And then the bear character who's having like a competition with her species or her race or whatever, and it's kind of like who can be the fattest by a certain point in time or something like that. I think that was like the scenario with that character. So yeah, those are like the only two interesting characters. Everybody else is like very, very boring. And Mayu would have been interesting, but like it just took way too long for her to get where she needed to go. And then like her backstory with the whole, knowing mechanics and stuff like that, it's like it feels like information that would be interesting had everything else not bogged it down. Because it just seems like, oh, she's an engineer, but then nothing really comes of that, and it's just not that interesting for the character, at least, or like for the premise that was built, it's not interesting. And then I know there's like a couple other characters that have the ability to make things interesting, but like again, the setup it just isn't working. So like when Mayu first gets into that like fake body thing, and she puts on weight with that one girl character who like gives her like cake and stuff like that in her apartment or home or whatever. That was kind of interesting, but only because it was setting up more lore with the other character. But then it seems like they kind of drop it, and then her gaining the weight kind of gets ruined because they basically just say she was in a coma for a bit, and like one of her friends one of her friends turns on a machine that makes it so that she was being overfed while she was unconscious, and it kind of just sucks out all the fun. Like some of the comic I'll have to reread just to make sure I'm getting my story straight with certain characters, but from the recent pages that I saw, it was just like all the fun stuff kind of got skipped over to a certain degree, and then anything that was interesting doesn't really get much attention, or is only given enough attention to kind of give you a reason why the character is doing something, but then it's not like relevant later. Or it's not like played on long enough for you to care. And then like now they're doing like, at least the last time I was reading, it was like the storyline of why the main character was chubby but then became skinny, and I guess it was like a bad childhood experience thing or something. And you can hear my tone, like the reason why, like it sounds like, oh, I don't even know what the thing is, because it's like it just wasn't interesting to remember. Or it just wasn't. It just didn't feel important. It just feels like we're just kind of rambling for the sake of it. But yeah, maybe I'll try rereading the comic just to see if I have like a better opinion of it. But right now, it just seems like too much setup for very little payoff. Skylar discovers there's a group of cute kobold girls. That would be interesting. Now there's like rogue AI involved. Oh yeah, yeah. I think Log Mayu would be better off as not Wake Game themed, and if it needed to be Wake Game themed, that should be its own like separate short comic. If it has to take place in the same universe. Because at least the way it's set up right now, it's not. It's like neither the theme nor the world is helping itself. And it's becoming overly complicated. Oh, thank you. Yeah, kind of messed up here and there, but I'm getting it all together. Because I'm trying to like stick close to her original art while still doing it the way that I would normally do it. Maybe the next character that I work on, I'll try using the other style that I've been thinking of. But I need to practice it more. It's definitely not ready. The part that's hanging me up is the coloring and shading part. And it's probably just because I want to try to make it a particular look. But that's what practice is for. So once I get the better hang of it, then I'll give it a shot. Oh, okay. What outfit do you want her to wear? Casual or none? And I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is, but better to ask anyway. The blouse hugs her boobs a tad too closely. Yeah, gotta hug the girls. Yeah, I do want to do a story where there's a bunch of kobolds who overly serve a character. Because I have a few kobolds who can fall into that role. Oh yeah. Normal Becky. I'll stream a little bit longer. At least until I get her line art done. Well, I mean, it looks like it's almost done. I'll just stream a little bit longer just for the sake of it. Why is the bow the way it is? Because that's another part of the ribbon out. But what is all this? Whatever, we'll figure it out. Kind of looks like a Japanese bow type of thing. And I'll just adjust it to make it work for what I need it for. Skylar, who are all these girls running around? He's like, kobolds. That's funny. Drunk nun Becky. Maybe. I'd have to, well, not figure it out, but maybe. Is not as easily swappable. because I'd have to draw the whole nun thing over it. I need to draw a bathing suit Becky or something like that. Okay, I see what my issue is. It's because her tail is in front of the bow rather than in the middle of it. So technically her bow is like on the side of her body. So like for example, here's the bow, and normally her tail is like right here, so the bow would technically be like here normally, but the way the artwork is, the bow is like this instead. So that's fine, that's not a problem. I just have to think of it in that fashion. Could be tied to the tail. Yeah, it could be. Like, it could be somewhere over here, yeah. A Japanese school uniform. So yeah, if I treat it like that, where it's tied to the tail. Because I'm thinking the bow is the middle part of her waist. That's the impression I'm getting from the artwork. But it also looks like it could be tied to the tail as well. So the best answer I can think of is why not just have double bows? So one on her tail and one on her waist. Yeah. Yeah, I think having it on the side is probably the better option. So we're just gonna go with that. So yeah, so next. Sometimes I don't like drawing the characters just standing because I want to put them in a pose, but at the same time I want enough information of the character to be seen. So it's such like a double-edged sword, because it's like on one end I just want to show off the character, but on the other end, if people want to know more about like seeing the information of the character, I kind of have to have them just standing normal so we can see everything. And it's such a weird artistic decision to have them do nothing. But I guess that's okay because I can always just draw them doing something later down the line. So it's likely better to just put them in have them standing normally. She kind of has more bedroom eyes. Let me fix that. She has a bit more of a bedroom eyes stance, or look on her face. Let's see if I can slim this down just a little bit. Yeah, exactly. She gotta have that ara ara. She's like, ara ara. I think I need to thicken her ears a little bit more, though. But yeah, she definitely needs to have mommy energy. Because I definitely want her to be like, when she sees her child after so long, she like on one end she's thinking like, oh my gosh, you're skin and bones or whatever, or she's just, you know what, no, not even the skin and bones things, because that's for the chicken mom. Just on her end, she's just like, oh, I want to baby my child again, so she just makes all their like favorite treats and stuff like that, and her child just has bad self-control even after losing weight and trying to be slim. They just can't help it. Like, well, mom's made her strawberry tarts, and I never had those anymore. So yeah, they eat them, and a week later they leave her home finally because they have to go back to work or something. They're like fucking massive. And they're just like, well, I guess I'll have to try to work this off again. So like, just like a short story, like nothing complicated. And then just this character is just like you know, just happy to spoil their child once again. Aw, you're not into MILFs? Well, if I ever do it, I'll have to make it interesting. Thank you for the follow, Engaging Comic. Oh yeah, I still need to do the strand that's on the back of their head. But that's okay. At least we have like mom characters who are side adjacent to other themes, like Marcy. Marcy is now a MILF, so that works out. Yeah. So yeah, there are side categories for characters. That's how you keep things interesting. They don't just do one thing. Yeah, it's like Spy Grandma. Can totally see Crystal trying to do another job, but she's gotten along in years, and so she can't be as flexible as she used to be, or not without, you know, getting a cramp or something. Maybe she's put on a little weight or something like that. So she's like, alright, this is my last job. And we'll give her a red wedding ring. And all that's missing is the other bow strap or strand. There we go. And she doesn't need that. Yeah, I try to make all like, even though I make characters for like themes and stuff like that, so it's like, okay, here's another weight gain character, or here's another bondage character. I still try to like make them individually interesting, so that way they're not just there for the theme and that's it. It's not like just taking a character and just saying, okay, this is a duck character, but they're gonna get fat, or this is a dog character, but they're gonna get fat, and there's like nothing interesting about them, or at least nothing that separates them from each other. Because like even in Caitlyn's case, it's like, yes, she is technically a weight gain character, but she's also technically a weight loss character because of her current premise. So even though the weight loss part is the part that not necessarily gets too much attention, but like gets enough attention to get the point across, where she's like, you know, abusing the fact that she's slimmed down and she can pretty much eat whatever she wants without gaining weight. That will get most of the spotlight, but then when she gets punished, that part gets spotlight too, so maybe it'll probably be a little bit even for the two. And then, you know, she has her own like personality that helps things along. It's not just like, oh, here's Caitlyn, she gets a collar to eat whatever, and then, oh no, she's fat and that's it. There's no like depth to her. And then she already expressed that she thinks it's cute that her friend Lawrence is into bigger women, but she has it in her head that being slimmer is better. Oh yeah, and Jupiter, Big Mama Jupiter. There's a background character from Hasbin. People have been drawing fat. Oh, I'm sure. Hasbin has a lot of characters. But like, let me see. Cause like, here's like another mom character. And like her whole thing is like all of her kids have been moved out for forever now. And like the character she interacts to had intended on trying to eat her, but she ends up stuffing them silly and keeping them around because she's like, oh, it's so nice to have somebody home or to take care of, or, you know, baby. So that's her whole shtick. And then I don't know, I was thinking of also adding in like a thing where the person has to like, you know, get some rest, but she like sleeps on top of them like a mother hen would. So you're just getting like thick mom bod just sitting on them and like, you know, just big warm ass type of things that are all like hot and steamy. So there's stuff like that. Okay. Jesus Christ, I drew her small. That is a problem. But I don't want to make her too big because I want to be able to put her on a card in the future. This should do it. And then later down the line I can always make artwork that's just her posing. And that can be like alternate art for a card or something. Okay, so let me save this. So I think I'm gonna call it for now. Tiny Fox Mom. But I think I'm gonna call it for tonight. I will finish this up a little later, but I'm gonna work on the last Valentine's Day pick before I put that up for sale. It'll only be like, I don't know, probably like just $10 or whatever. And I'm only gonna have it up for like a week for people to buy. And then once a week is up, it'll go on to the $50 tier collectors thing. So yeah, but yes, but just to tease you all, yes, there is a Marcy and Skylar pick in the set. There's only two. There's only gonna be two picks, but they're gonna have like some variants with them, like I usually do. But but yeah, Marcy and Skylar is the first one, and then Blake and Eddie are the second. I just have to finish up Blake and Eddie's. But yeah, something to think about before I post it. So hopefully I'll get it done tonight, and it should be posted tomorrow. Um, After that, I'm just gonna keep working on comic pages. Excuse me. Yeah, just work on comic pages, get stuff done, and then work on other side stuff that I have planned. I want to try to get on to the YouTube thing that I've been planning out. I just gotta make the assets, and then just pretty much start the story. I the one thing I'm being locked up on now, aside from making assets, because that's just going to be a chore no matter how I think about it. Now I'm like debating which character I want to use, because it's supposed to be like just multiple stories that get posted in like or in like different parts and stuff like that. But now I'm like, fuck, which one do I want to pick first? And I think I'm just gonna have to just put it on a roulette wheel and let fate decide. But that's not an issue really. It's just me being locked up for a moment. But yeah, just a lot I have planned, and yeah, hopefully I can get to them all and just see where it goes, and hopefully you guys like it when I get to it. But yeah, I'm gonna finish up the Valentine's Day thing, and then the next thing I'm gonna work on is well, I'm gonna set up the Patreon stuff for Astacast and the character polls, and so it'll be like Year of the Dragon. And I also want to do like a Year of the Dragon set too. And I also want to do artwork of Revka this month. So yeah, lots I want to do. So, but yeah, I definitely will set up the Patreon stuff to get ready to vote and all that, so we can get that out of the way. Revka. But con anyway. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming. I will try to stream again next week or next Wednesday, hopefully a longer stream, and I'm gonna try to do it more often. But yeah, thank you again for coming. Have a good Valentine's Day. Have a good night slash morning slash afternoon day, whatever however it is for you guys. And I will see you guys next time. All right. Take care. All right. Bye bye.